Batman has made his DCU debut. But is it Matt Reeves, the Batman? Not sure yet. Internet, I'm Chris, and this is a place on the internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and things I'm generally passionate about. So, episode 6 of Creature Commandos just dropped, and it's an episode focusing on Dr. Phosphorus. If you don't know, Dr. Phosphorus is a Batman villain, so there was always a chance that when we got the Dr. Phosphorus episode with his origin, we might get hints of Batman, and I thought there would be like maybe a reference or something like that, maybe hear some people talking about him, or maybe you'll see a newspaper that says the Batman captured this person. But actually, we get the Batman. We get his silhouette, and you see the lightning strike, and there he is, Batman. Like as close as we're gonna get. In the episode, James Gunn does a breakdown with Rotten Tomatoes over Easter eggs, and he talks about including Batman in the series.
So yeah, that's just a way to introduce that Batman is a part of this universe. He's an important part of this universe, and he has an impact on it.
Now, Batman is his favorite superhero. He references that it's the most popular character in DC and the most popular superhero in the world, which makes sense. But I think what is interesting about what he talks about is that the animation department and the team behind Creature Commandos showed him different versions of Batman, but he kind of was not ready to commit as to what Batman would look like in the DCU. Obviously, he wants to give that to the filmmaker, whoever it is. Now, we know that Andy Muschietti is attached to Batman Brave and the Bold, but there has been some speculation that Matt Reeves, the Batman, Robert Pattinson, might be folding into the DCU. Now, I'm in the camp that, like, hey, do whatever you want. Whatever Matt Reeves is willing to do, he's done really well by that character. So if he's willing to let his Batman be in the DCU, go for it. But I think the fact that James Gunn has not committed either way, people in Rotten Tomatoes asked him, hey, which Batman is it? And
This is the DCU Batman.
he says the DCU's Batman. Now, he doesn't say that it's not Matt Reeves, it's Batman, it's not Robert Pattinson. So I think those discussions are still being had. He's already talked about the fact that he's thought about it. And I don't know if they even know for sure. And that is why Batman Brave and the Bold has been put on hold in some ways. And there has also been a delay when it comes to the Batman Part 2. So I think there is a strong possibility that the Batman from the Batman is actually who the Batman is in Batman Brave and the Bold. And especially considering the fact that by the time the Batman Part 2 comes out, Robert Pattinson won't be a young man anymore. He's going to be in his 40s. He'll be right at the age where he can have a Robin. So it makes perfect sense that they could fold that in, considering it takes Matt Reeves about 20 years to write a script for his Batman movies. So we'll see. Overall, it was a great episode of Creature Commandos. I liked it. There's some great moments in it. And, when I say great, it's relative because I haven't really been loving the series overall. Like, I'm a huge James Gunn guy. I love the Suicide Squad. I love Peacemaker. I love the Guardians movies. I love Super Slither. So he's done a lot of great work, but I think this format of 20-minute episodes doesn't really work to his style of writing and also his humor and all that, just because I think the episodes are so short that you have a lot of like needle drops and these character moments, which is fine, and they work in his movies and all his other projects, but because they're so like close together, sometimes they're like really annoying, and it's like this like European pop that's like kind of like blaring, and it happens so often. I feel like I hear music even when music isn't playing. It's like being in like a store where they play really bad music and you leave and it's still in your head. So yeah. And then, there's some great moments with the bride and Nina and Eric Frankenstein. David Harbour is amazing, but at this point, yeah, he's a villain. He's a full-on villain. Like, he's gonna, mess things up in the season finale. But the breakout in this episode, I have to say, is Rupert Thorne. So while I'm watching this episode and Rupert Thorne is doing his, evil bad guy Gotham mob thing, I'm like, oh, that's like, this guy's like giving the performance of a lifetime. Like, who is this guy? Like, why does his voice sound familiar? Like, and also, like, spoiler alert, he dies, but I was like, man, they really need to get whoever voiced this guy like in a movie. I don't know if he like does like live action work or whatever, because this voice is just like, wow. And then when I'm watching the Rotten Tomatoes breakdown of Easter eggs, it's played by Ben Davis. Davis played Dutch in the Red Dead Redemption games. And it's like, oh, that is where I know him. Wow. And yeah, he's just amazing. Like, get him in something as Rupert Thorne in a flashback or whatever, or another role, because I just, there was something about it that sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. And I guess just because it's a video game, like, it's familiar, but not like, I don't hear it enough to kind of like place who it was. And then I was like, wow. Dutch as Rupert Thorne. That is A1 casting, James Gunn. And I wonder if he's casting Robert Pattinson as the Batman in the DCU. Now, after watching this episode and hearing his commentary on that appearance and knowing how big of a Batman fan he is, and talking about the fact he would love to see Batman and Superman together and what that means for the DCU, I'm really excited about. And I know some people, you can make an argument for both, honestly. Like, it's comic books, like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to argue about these things. But it's also comic books, and I think people could handle one actor maybe playing two versions of the same character or anything like that. We've already done it in so many different ways with other iterations. Like, we just saw Hugh Jackman come back as a different version of Wolverine in Deadpool Wolverine. So I think we can handle, like, Robert Pattinson being the DCU's Batman and possibly a separate Batman in Matt Reeves' The Batman Epic Crime Saga. What do you think? Who do you think is the Batman in the DCU? Let me know. Would you like it to be Robert Pattinson? Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.